In the darkest corners of our human capabilities, one figure emerges from the shadows, a paradox that was etched in our history not for a creation, but for a devastating innovation, forever casting a haunting silhouette against the glow of progress. The silhouette being of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb. Join me as we trace the chilling footsteps and paint a clear picture of who he actually was, and venture into the untold chapters of the nuclear era, where science tipped the scales of war and eternally altered the course of humanity. It's a chilly morning on the 16th of July, 1945, as Oppenheimer and his colleagues hold their breath, awaiting the outcome of years of relentless work and secrecy. This was the dawn of the Trinity test, the first detonation of a nuclear device. The result? An explosion that illuminated the New Mexico desert. But what led us to this pivotal moment? Oppenheimer was no ordinary physicist. With a breadth of knowledge spanning multiple languages and a penchant for philosophical pondering, he was a mystery in his own right. His genius was undeniable, but it was his leadership and charisma that led him to oversee the Manhattan Project's scientific division, propelling the U.S. into the nuclear age. The Manhattan Project was not merely a scientific endeavor. The story doesn't end with the creation of the atomic bomb. Beneath the well-documented narrative of the project lie numerous lesser-known aspects. Dive deeper, and you'll discover a mosaic of scientists hailing from various backgrounds and nationalities, bound by the collective objective to harness the atom's power. Within this melting pot of talent and ambition, intense rivalries flourished, as did lifelong friendships. There was a constant push and pull of ideologies, an ever-present undercurrent that underscored the relentless pursuit of a weapon of unprecedented destruction. Oppenheimer, at the epicenter of this maelstrom, was plagued by a sense of responsibility and guilt. But his legacy isn't merely bound by the creation of the atomic bomb. Oppenheimer's early work was focused on theoretical physics, particularly the fields of quantum mechanics and cosmology. His works on electron-positron theory are foundational contributions to quantum field theory, and his studies on black holes, neutron stars, and cosmic rays remain influential in the world of astrophysics today. His intellectual curiosity was not limited to physics. He was also deeply interested in Eastern philosophy and literature, often drawing parallels between his scientific work and philosophical concepts. Following World War II, Oppenheimer became a prominent advocate for the control of nuclear power and a vocal critic of the arms race during the Cold War. His outspoken political views, however, led to a tragic downfall, with accusations of communist sympathies resulting in his security clearance being revoked, effectively ending his government career. Behind the accolades and controversies, the man was more than just a physicist leading a world-changing project. He was a lover of poetry and Eastern philosophy, a charismatic teacher, a sensitive individual who grappled with the moral implications of his work. So, who were some of the other key players alongside Oppenheimer in this massive endeavor? Among them was Enrico Fermi, an Italian physicist who conducted the first controlled nuclear chain reaction, which was a fundamental step towards creating an atomic bomb. Then there was Leo Szilard, a Hungarian physicist whose letter, signed by Albert Einstein, to President Franklin D. Roosevelt warned about Nazi Germany's potential to create an atomic weapon, initiating what would become the Manhattan Project. While Oppenheimer may have been the face of the project, the mammoth task of creating the atomic bomb was distributed across several covert sites across the United States, each contributing a critical piece of the puzzle. The Hanford site in Washington, the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico, and the Oak Ridge site in Tennessee, each location tells a unique tale of scientific pursuit. Take, for instance, the city of Oak Ridge, which was built from the ground up as part of the Manhattan Project. Its inhabitants, mostly women, were tasked with various roles related to the project, often without knowing the true nature of their work. Yet, the aftermath of nuclear development was a complex tapestry of consequences. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki signaled the end of World War II, but also ushered in an era of nuclear fear and an arms race that threatened global annihilation. While some celebrated the power harnessed as a triumph of human intellect, others, like Oppenheimer himself, were left grappling with the morality of their actions. The advent of the nuclear age left an indelible scar on humanity, raising profound questions about responsibility and the very nature of human progress. As we continue our journey through the shadows of the Manhattan Project, it's impossible to ignore the air of dread that hung over those involved. Amidst the scientific breakthroughs, the tensions of war, and the weight of their task, those in the project lived with a looming sense of dread, the gravity of their work heavy on their shoulders. It's a dark undercurrent that seeped into every facet of their lives, a relentless reminder of the destructive power they were harnessing. One such person who bore the weight of this impending dread was Klaus Fuchs, a German theoretical physicist and one of the most notorious spies of the 20th century. Fuchs, a key player in the Los Alamos laboratory, was concurrently passing critical information about the atomic bomb to the Soviet Union. His betrayal not only compromised the security of the project, but also accelerated the start of the nuclear arms race, amplifying the anxieties of the nuclear age. In the pop-up town of Richland, Washington, which housed workers of the Hanford site, children played in the shadows of nuclear reactors, unaware of the dangers lurking beneath their innocent games. In fact, so pervasive was the culture of secrecy that many only discovered the true nature of their work after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The realization was a jolt to their reality, a chilling epiphany that resonated long after the war ended. Oppenheimer's work laid the groundwork for the most destructive force humanity has ever created. However, his story didn't end with the Manhattan Project. In the aftermath of World War II, the world was left to grapple with the devastating power that Oppenheimer's work had unleashed. As we step into the shadows of Oppenheimer's life post-Manhattan Project, we encounter a man caught in a web of personal torment and the ever-looming specter of the nuclear age. The cloud of the atomic bomb's devastation hung heavily over Oppenheimer. The sight of the first successful test reportedly had him quote a line in Hindu scripture titled Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." These words would haunt him for the rest of his life. He became a vocal advocate for the control of nuclear power, arguing for international regulations to prevent the potential annihilation of the human race. His stance, however, was not without controversy. The climate of the Cold War had heightened the U.S. government's fear of communism, and Oppenheimer found himself at the center. Accusations of his connections to the Communist Party began to circulate, fueled by testimonies from estranged friends and former colleagues. What emerged from the crucible of the Manhattan Project was a man at odds with the world he had helped shape. His struggle to make sense of it, to advocate for a safer, more accountable use of nuclear power, and his eventual ostracization from the very community he helped create, are a testament to the complexities that surround this event. Oppenheimer's later years were spent in academia, teaching and nurturing the next generation of physicists. After being stripped of his security clearance due to the Red Scare, he turned to teaching and became the director of the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton. Here, he influenced a new wave of scientific thinkers, leaving an indelible mark on the field of physics. The man who stood at the epicenter of the atomic age was much more than a physicist. He was an academic, a philosopher, and a man haunted by the tremendous power he had unleashed. So thank you for joining us in this detailed analysis, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay curious, stay safe, and let's dive into the mysteries of our universe together.